In this video, I'll be going over the Heretic Astartes portion of Psychic Awakening, Faith and Fury.
We play and call it work.
MiniWarGaming Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com, here with Defy, and I'll be showing him all the new stuff I find in the Faith and Fury Psychic Awakening book, with the exception of all the Space Marine stuff, because we don't want to know about that stuff, or I don't want to know about that stuff, I just want to know about the Heretic Astartes stuff. That's all I want to know, and that's all I'm going to tell you. Faith and Fury is a hardcover 95-page book, 39 pages of which is dedicated to Heretic Astartes. Is Faith unbound? Perhaps, perhaps not. Out of the 14 pages of lore, we'll learn more about the Telidus system. This is where we learn about Sebastian Thor, who was the leader of the Confederation of Light, an alliance of faithful souls determined to end the time of Ecclesiarch Vandire. This was known as the Reign of Blood. Thor gathered his forces, which included several Space Marine chapters, to Holy Terra, where they overthrew the tyrant and his loyal servants. This is where a change takes place. The daughters of the Emperor, later named the Sisters of Battle, repaid Vandire with the edge of their sword, which is a nice way of saying they cut his head off. Thor, having convinced the High Lords of Terra the righteousness of his actions, was chosen to become the new Ecclesiarch. And to ensure that Vandire's tour of tyranny didn't happen again, Thor went on a grand expedition of all the Imperium's holy sites. One of the first subsectors the new Ecclesiarch visited was Veridus, and its broken capital of Telidus was his first port of call. Though they had suffered greatly at the hands of the church, the survivors of Vandire's purges greeted the new Ecclesiarch reverently when he visited the ruins of Telidus. Thor was very moved by this and ordered the construction of a grand monument to Hectus Carmine and all who lost their lives during the Reign of Blood. Over the following centuries, the power and influence of the Veritas subsector grew unchecked. The immense wealth generated by the sacred tithes, pilgrimage tolls, and generous offerings of the God Emperor's faithful flowed back into the vaults of the Ecclesiarchy. So did Telidus thrive for thousands of years, even when the Great Rift tore open and Terra itself was savaged by the demonic hordes of the Dark Gods. The Veritas subsector remained untouched. The prophets of benediction claimed that the faithful of Telidus lived under the eternal protection of the God Emperor, a reward for all that they had suffered. Such predictions would prove utterly false. The Dark Gods had set their eyes upon this gleaming jewel in humanity's crown, and their greatest mortal champions planned to see it burn in the fires of chaos. The seeds of corruption. The ruling priesthood of the Veritas subsector may have believed that their domain was an incorruptible bastion of the imperial creed, but in truth, the seeds of heresy had lurked unnoticed within its borders for many years. Who better than the word bearers to sow these seeds of hatred and corruption, especially Colferin? No one had more hatred and contempt for the God Emperor than he. Calling upon thousand-year-old debts and oaths, Colferin, the Dark Cardinal, assembled a conglomeration of allies from across several Traitor Legions and renegade chapters. There's 3 in the very least that were there. Night Lords, they were given promises of torturing people, which is very fitting. Iron Warriors, they just cared about having space to test out the new demon engines. And Chaos Knights, your big cousins. As the word bearers commenced their assault, the cults they had so patiently seeded across the system also rose up in armed rebellion. Telidus was alone, and the enemy was at its threshold. I'm going to put a pause on the lore for now. I'll show you some of the goodies that you get with the Traitor Legion upgrades. Let's begin with Champions of Ruin. Mr. Cultist, the following rules don't apply to you. They also don't apply to Fallen. Malicious Volleys. This is nothing new. We already knew that bolters did this. Hateful Assault. If you make a charge, are charged, or perform a heroic intervention, you get +1 to your attacks. Demonic Weapons. Keoak the Boundless drew Tzeentch's ire for ceaselessly tinkering with the plans of his Lords of Change, and thus was bound within its weapon to stop its tireless meddling. That's a narrative way of saying that when you attack using the sword, your opponent doesn't get an invuln save. With Strength User, AP -3, D3 damage, would you use Keoak the Boundless? I know you would. Oh wait, never mind. You're not allowed to. Tharis and Riol, the Rapacious Talons. These were 2 rival demons who endlessly performed at the court of a great demon prince. They drew their patrons' displeasure when their competitive rivalry became the prime focus of their performances, neglecting the court and its lord. They were bound within 2 demon weapons, paired claws forever destined to dance at the behest of their bearer. And that's a narrative way of saying that you can reroll your wound roll. Also, if you get a 2+ in the demon roll, you get that many additional attacks. At Strength User, AP -2 damage, would you use Tharis and Riol, the Rapacious Talons? Don't even bother saying that you would. Yes, I know you would, but you're not allowed to. Plus, they would totally crush you. There's no way you'd be able to carry them. Zal the Wrathful. Only Khorne's most incensed warriors can wield this blade. A demon of such unrestrained anger, Zal was bound within to give a purpose to the demon's endless fury. Now the demon's anger ebbs and flows like a tide of gore, synced to the wrath of its wielder. And that's Khorne's way of saying that when you roll the demon dice for the weapon, you add the result to the strength characteristic of the model. With Strength User, AP -5/2 damage, would you use Zal the Wrathful? Don't even try. Uluka, the Black Axe. This axe was found on a demon world, resting in a cavern marked with diabolical wards. Thousands of corpses lay at its feet, sacrificial offerings from an unknown warden to appease its hunger. One brave soul now seeks to feed the demon by other means. And that's just a nurgly way of saying that when you attack with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 4+ inflicts mortal wounds in addition to regular damage. At strength user AP 0 damage 1, would you use Oloka the Black Axe? You like these weapons? Because you'll never have them. You're a lowly cultist. Updated weaponry side note, Demolisher cannons are now heavy D6. Looks like the ban of having to attack 5 or more models in order to have the weapon type to heavy D6 has been lifted. Can't you be happy with your buddy? Don't be jealous. You got a battle cannon, he's got a Demolisher cannon. Totally different. Let's not forget Golax, Fist of Decay. It's a Nurgle Power Fist that does 3 damage, and a wound roll of 2+, always wounds. Diving into some word bearers. Cast down the idols, destroy the temple, slay the priests, show these fools they worship nothing more than a rotting corpse. All right, Deffy, time to describe some of the warlord traits of the word bearers. The voice of Logar. This warlord speaks with the authority of his Primarch. When he commands, others follow without question or hesitation. In game terms, you add 3 inches to his aura abilities. Exalted Possession. This warlord shares his flesh with a powerful demon. Physically stronger and faster than mere mortals, he venerates the Pantheon with this union. That means he gains the keywords Possessed and Demon. He also adds 1 to his attacks, movement, and strength characteristics. Demonic Whispers. Blessings from the Empyrean guide this warlord and his followers. This one's kind of neat. At the beginning of the game, you roll a d3 and add the many command points if your army's battle-forged. Also, during the game, once per battle, you can reroll a single hit, wound, damage, or saving throw. How do you like them apples? Master of the Union. This warlord leads their demonic brethren with fearsome influence, drawing forth the unholy emotions of the corrupted. This time, it's an aura ability. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of any demon word bearer within 6 inches of your warlord. It's basically a 6-up feel no pain, but if you're wounded with a mortal wound, you actually add 3 to your result. So it's like a 3-up feel no pain against mortal wounds. Regular wounds, still 6+. Sacrilegious Regeneration. Giving up one's soul and purpose to the dark gods has garnered their favor. The very energy of the Immaterium now seeps through this warlord's veins, healing afflictions of the material realm. Not only do you add 1 to your wounds characteristic, but at the beginning of your turn, you can regain up to D3 lost wounds. So that makes you very resilient. My top picks for Word Bearer's warlord traits, I would choose the voice of Logar if I'm playing narratively. If I'm playing casual, Sacrilegious Regeneration. Word Bearer's stratagems. These are some of my favorites. Revered Host, that's for 1 command point. You add 1 to damage of melee weapons for possessed or greater possessed. That's kind of cool. Hexagrammatic Ward. That's when you make a saving throw for one of your characters and you don't like it. You just automatically change the result to a 6, but you can only do it once per character. Let's not forget the narrative stratagem, Vengeance for Monarchia. You get to reroll your failed hit and wound rolls against Ultramarine units. Whoop! Correction, it doesn't say failed rolls, it says rolls. There's 4 more stratagems, but I'm not gonna go over them. You gotta read some yourself. I can't just give you all the information. But I will share some of the artifacts of the word bearers. Out of the 6 artifacts, 2 of them stick out to me. There's the Ashen Axe and the Epistle of Logar. With the axe, you prevent things from falling out of combat. Unless, of course, it's a vehicle or Titanic. You know what, Deffy? I'm not gonna go into these guys. I don't really care about them. We like Batman, but Marvel's better. You know what, Deffy? I realized that I actually don't have enough time to cover everything that I wanted to cover. I have run out of time. So please like this video if you would like me to continue this series of covering all this Traitor Legion new stuff, the warlord traits, stratagems, and artifacts. If you like this format, also like this video and leave a comment to let me know that you like this format. Otherwise, we're gonna have to revert to the old format where I sit and talk for 2 hours unedited. Thank you very much. Happy wargaming, and I'll see you in more battle reports where we're going to be using all the new stuff because I want to use the new stuff, especially the World Eaters. I gotta go home right now. I gotta feed my nurglings. I don't have time to make more video. It's killing me!